So biomedical waste. Last time I had told you that we will have a different color dustbins. You can see over here. Why their disposals will be there different color. It is for different waste. Okay, for general waste, that green color you can see for infected waste. Then for the infected waste such as anatomical, cytotoxic, laboratory waste, expired and discarded medicines will be put there in this yellow color dustbin. From the medical, anatomical or chemical means surgical instruments, okay, surgical spirits, and those cytotoxic laboratory waste, expired and discarded medicines which are not to be used later on, which will be discarded over here. So here the infected waste, when it is discarded on or disposed in this dustbin, which you can see over here, that is yellow color dustbin. Here plasma pyrolysis, you can see plasma pyrolysis is nothing but it's a technology where the medical waste, okay, the medical waste is converted into commercially useful byproduct. Okay, what they do is they take this, they recycle it, and they use it again as a commercially byproduct. Like for different things, to manufacture different things, they use this. Okay, to manufacture different things, they use it, and that is nothing but called a plasma pyrolysis. Only remember this. Only now, can you hear? Am I audible now? Yes. Okay. Am I audible? Okay. Okay. So here what happens, the infected waste, they are being put into this yellow color dustbin, which they will know that, okay, yellow color dustbin means only in this, these waste, anatomical waste, medicines have been put up. Okay, so that they can use it for the other, use this as a byproduct and can recycle it to manufacture different things. Okay, and otherwise, if they feel that, okay, the internet connection is unstable. Okay, am I audible now? Am I audible now? Okay, okay, very good. So what happens later, they will get to know, okay, these are the infected waste, what they have to put in here. Otherwise, if they feel that this waste cannot be used as a byproduct or cannot be used for the manufacturing purpose, what they do is they deep bury it. Okay, what they do is they bury it inside the earth or the soil. Okay, they bury it inside the soil. So these all infected waste goes into this yellow color dustbin. Okay, the disposal dustbin over here. So you have to remember anytime when you go next, for if in the medical field or any such thing or in research field as well. So you have general waste green, infected plastics in this red color disposal, infected waste in this yellow color. Whereas in the glassware, antibiotic vials, metallic implants, glassware material. What happens, like how, like test tubes, then beakers, then vials, small vials in which where the blood samples are taken, urine samples are taken. All those will be put down into this blue color and disposal bin. Okay, blue color disposal bin. Everyone can see here, right? Blue color disposal bin, which is later went for recycling. Okay, which is first autoclaved and then goes for recycling. Autoclaved is nothing but which is given high temperature, and all these glasswares are given a high temperature. The microorganisms are killed, the microorganisms are killed, and later they are sent it to the recycling. I remember last time I had given example of cooker. cooker, where in the cooker these all glasswares have been put, so that and a pressure is given, high pressure is given, where all the microorganisms die because of the heat provided to them. Okay, because of heat provided to them, and that process is nothing else called as autoclaving. Okay, that process is known as autoclaving. But autoclaving, there is a instrument, autoclaver is there, where in research labs and laboratories, where the autoclavers are used to kill the microorganism from such glasswares. Okay, from such glasswares, and later they are sent to the recycling, so that no one should get infected because of that. Okay, no one should get infected because of those microorganisms. Clear about the glassware disposal? Clear about the glassware disposal? Anyone has any doubt regarding autoclaving, or how it goes later to recycling? Autoclaving is nothing but, just remember, what is done is high temperature of heat. Okay, high temperature of heat is given to it, to those glassware, so that the microorganism die, so that the microorganism die because of the high temperature heat. Okay, that process is known as autoclaving. That process is known as autoclaving. They are autoclaved so that the harmful bacteria, other viruses, or the other microorganisms should not go into the environment. Okay, later, once the autoclaving is done, they are sent to the recycling. Okay, they are sent to the recycling. Clear about this? So the disposal bin used for this glassware is this blue color. Wherever the disposing of such glassware should be done, biomedical glassware should be done in this blue color dustbin. Okay, or the disposal bin. Clear about this? Okay. Next, going to needles, cut glasses, or any such sharp syringes. Everything has to be put there here in the small disposal bin, which later goes to the sharp pit, or later goes to the common treatment facility. Okay, all this segregation of the hospital biomedical waste is done, so that they will know which are the infected waste, infected plastics, infected waste, which are the infected glassware, the sharps, and the general waste, like the wet waste, okay, and the dry waste as well. So these are the different disposal bin used in the hospital biomedical waste management. Okay. Hospital biomedical waste management is done in this way. Okay, clear to everyone about this? Anyone has got any doubt regarding biomedical waste management? Okay, very good. Clear, right? Yes, good afternoon, Vani. Okay, next coming to e-waste, which we have spoken in the last class as well. What happens to the e-waste? You can see there a small picture. That's one small step for a man and one giant heap left behind. What happens is e-waste, which we have seen in the last classes in the slides as well. That what happens to the e-waste? E-waste is neither recycled, or neither it's gone for any other manufacturing. It is just kept outside into the environment. What happens here is, first is, what is e-waste? E-waste is nothing but any electronic or electrical product which is discarded, like the waste gadgets, computers, laptops, which are unused or not in use, have been discarded in the environment. Okay. Next is why e-waste is an issue. Okay. India's e-waste generation is rising at the rate of 4 to 5%. Okay, if you remember, I have given one graph where we stand in the e-waste, where we stand in the e-waste, how much of India is raising into the e-waste. We stand on the fifth. We stand in that graph. We stand in fifth, because we are also rising at the rate of 4 to 5% for the e-waste generation. Okay, for the e-waste generation, because it neither goes for the recycling, or neither goes for any other management. It just goes outside into the environment, littering it. So what's the problem? What happens if e-waste or electronic waste is not managed? Huge gap between e-waste generation and e-waste dismantling or recycling. What happens is, you can see in the picture as well over here, uh, a little bit goes into the recycling, whereas a big heap is still there. Okay, a little bit goes into the recycling, whereas a big heap is still there. That means only few % goes for recycling, or it doesn't go at all for the recycling. Okay, it doesn't go at all for the recycling. So what the problem is, if the generation of e-waste is more, it has to go for the recycling in the same rate, okay, which it doesn't go. So this is a problem. Next coming to what we can do about the e-waste. What can be done? Handle e-waste in the scientific manner. That is what we should be doing. First is proper disposal of all the components that cannot be recycled. So what we have to do is we have to know in what we should dispose this e-waste. Like in the last slide, when we have seen biomedical waste management, how they do it, like each waste has given different disposal bins, like for the glassware, for the infected plastics, for the infected glassware, or for the dry waste, for the wet waste. So they have different disposal management. The same way it has to be for the e-waste management as well. Those things which cannot be recycled has to be disposed in a proper manner. Okay, it has to be disposed in a proper manner. Increase the number of dismantling recycling units from the current number, which is only 148. Okay, the recycling units has to be increased, because a large number of e-waste comes out, whereas the recycling is very less. Okay, a large number of e-waste comes out, that is electronic waste or electrical waste comes out, and the disposal or the management is very less. So it has to be increased, and increase the awareness amongst the consumers. Whoever takes these gadgets has to clearly know that how it has to be disposed, or how it can be given to the recycling again. Just do not keep it as a dead gadget in the home, or just keep it out in the environment. Do know that where the recycling is done. Okay, this is the awareness among the people has to be there who are using these gadgets. So that means e-waste has to be handled very technically, because all of those gadget doesn't go for the management, or doesn't go for the recycling. Only few of those goes to the recycling, and because of which a large heap a large heap remains behind. Okay, e-waste is also a waste which is polluting the earth, so it has to go for the recycling. Okay, so any electronic or electrical product which is discarded is an e-waste. Either it can be from a very small pen drive to a system. It has to be, it is a e-waste and it has to be discarded. The issue is India's e-waste generation is rising, whereas recycling is very less. The What is the problem? The problem is the same. The recycling is less, whereas the e-waste is keep on rising, whereas we still stand on the fifth on the graph. Whereas what can be done, handle e-waste in a scientific manner, know what is wrong, how it has to be done, how it has to be managed. Okay, so India's e-waste mess stinks. So this is also what it also stinks. It has to be managed properly. Okay, it also stinks. So it has to be managed properly. So this is about the e-waste management. So what has to be done to manage the e-waste? That is the electronic waste. India is generating e-waste at an alarming level, with measures to keep check on it limited. So only because we just have 148 recycling units for e-waste management is very difficult, and also the awareness among the people is less, so that it can be recycled. That is also has to be increased. Okay, so this is about the e-waste management. Next, coming to agrochemicals and their effects. First thing is, agro is nothing but you all are aware about it. That is about the agriculture. Okay, so this is about the agriculture. it is like always you have known that whenever you sow seeds of any, like for the for example for paddy or any such cereals, or any flowering plants or any such things in the garden and all, you usually make sure that you put enough manure or fertilizers to it so that it can be grown. Okay, it can flourish. So the thing is, how much of you all are aware that how much of quantity has to be added, or how much of manure should be given to the agriculture land? Okay, so first thing is, there is very less patience among us, and we want something a good result. So what happens is we tend to go for a agrochemicals, fertilizer or agrochemicals for that reason. It can be manures or it can be fertilizers as well. So what happens when you use agricultural chemicals in the agricultural land, and what are their effects? Okay, what are the effects? We usually earlier, when the green revolution started in India, we started using these fertilizers which were from the chemical industries, and which gave a good results as well, and it flourished as well, but giving out one side effects, giving out many such side effects. Okay, so what actually the agrochemicals or the agriculture chemicals did? So use of inorganic fertilizers and pesticides have increased manifold for enhancing crop production. Yes. So what has been done is, wherever the crops are being grown, usually such chemical pesticides and fertilizers are used. Fertilizers, it is that is a kind of manure to enhance the growth of these crops. Okay, to enhance the growth of these crops, and pesticides to control the pest insects in the agricultural land. Okay, the pest or the insects in the agricultural land. So many of them must be aware about the tobacco mosaic virus, or okay, giving the example of tobacco mosaic virus only. What had happened was, tobacco mosaic virus is a kind of a virus which gives it's a okay, anyone knows about it? Yes, it is TMV, that is a tobacco mosaic virus. What actually happened about the topic tobacco mosaic virus was a huge, large area of tobacco plants or the tobacco crops were infected by this TMV, that is tobacco mosaic virus. Why the name mosaic is, the leaf of this tobacco will have small dots on it. Okay, giving one structure or image like mosaic. Okay, mosaic, like small dots on it. So the name was given mosaic, that is TMV. And actually what happened was, it infected the TMV infected these tobacco plants in a large number, destroying many such tobacco plants. Okay, or tobacco crops, and also making a huge loss for the farmers who were growing it. So later when the research was done on the tobacco plants, they got to know that there was a virus which was infecting them, that is TMV. So now why I'm saying you this story about the TMV is, if any such virus or any such pesticides infect such crops in a larger number, so what happens is there is a total destruction of these crops. Okay, total destruction of these crops, and with the destruction there is a loss for the farmers as well. Okay, there is a loss for the farmers as well, because it doesn't just stays to only one plant. It gets infected from one plant to the other plant. Okay, the same thing happened with TMV. Okay, the leaf, it infected the leaf. From leaf, it infected the stem. From the stem to root, it infected to the other plants as well. Okay, so this TMV virus was a kind of a total destruction for the tobacco crops. Okay, the same thing has to be controlled. So what these pesticides are being used? Okay, the example was about the virus, but pesticides can be any such insects as well. Okay, many such insects are there which once they get infected to these plants, it totally destroy the whole crops. Okay, so it is very necessary to use the pesticide, but what pesticides and which fertilizers has to be used has to be known so that it doesn't even affect the environment as well. Very good note, Fatima. Yes, it's about TMV. Okay, so this is about agrochemicals or agricultural chemicals. So use of inorganic and pesticides have increased manifold for enhancing crop production. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. are being increasingly used. Okay, first we'll go with the pesticides. Pesticides are nothing but which are used for the, so that it control the pest, which controls the population of the pest or kills them. Okay, pesticides are used so that it controls the population of the pest or it directly kills them. Okay, so that they do not infect, so that they do not infect the plants or the crops. Okay, because if one pest affects one plant, then the whole entire crop gets affected. Next, coming to herbicides, herbicides are nothing but which are those herbs or weeds which are grown along with the crops. Okay, those are the plants which are grown along with the crops and which are of no use at all. They just grow along with the crops so that they, along with the crops because of the fertilizers used, and they make the crops. The thing is, herbicides are, I mean, herbs are or the weeds are grown along with these crops, making taking up the nutrients from the soil. Okay, fertilizers from the soil, and because of which the crops get affected, the growth of the crops gets affected. Okay, so herbicides are used. Herbicides are also the chemicals. Okay, next coming to fungicides. Fungicides is nothing but, you know, you are all aware about what are fungi. Okay, so fungi is something which is also the same. If it gets affected to one plant, it gets affected to all other plants as well. It's because either it grows spores on them, and the spores get infected from one plant to another plant, or it affects the root. So because of which it gets infected from one plant to the other plant. Okay. So fungicides are used to control the fungi. If they feel that that particular place has got fungi infection, then they will use this fungicides. Okay, are being increasingly used. Okay, now one thing is pesticides. Leaving about herbicides, because herbicides are those weeds or those unnecessary plants which grow along with the crops. But when we come to pesticides and fungicides, what has it has to be used so that it doesn't affect those insects or those micro fungi as well, which are useful for the plant growth. Okay, those fungi as well which are useful for the plant growth. How many of you know about mycorrhiza or WAM? How many of you know about mycorrhiza or WAM? Vesicular arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. How many of you know about mycorrhiza or okay, mycorrhiza is nothing but which is a useful fungi. Okay, useful fungi for the plant growth. What it does is it takes up the it allows for the greater absorption of water and nutrients for the plants. Okay, it is mycorrhizas are always connected with the roots. So the thing is, if in case they are using fungicides, that will also infect these mycorrhiza as well. Okay, making it difficult for the plant growth. So it has to be made sure that these things are not affected. Okay, those are useful fungi, useful pesticides are not affected. These are toxic to non-target organisms that are important components of ecosystem. Yes, it is used to produce the food. In food industries, it is used to produce the food. Whereas in the agriculture, what it does, it helps for the better absorption of nutrients and water for the plants. Okay, in which association it is growing and which association it is growing. Let us not go to that. Just know that there are some useful fungi as well. Okay, there are toxic. These are toxic to non-target organisms that are important components of ecosystem. Yes. For example, now think you are growing one plant. For that, you are using fertilizers as well as you are using the pesticides there. Fertilizers is for to flourish the plant so that it grows well, whereas pesticide to kill the other pest. Now in the pest, there are some of those organisms also comes which are useful for the growth for the plant, like earthworms are there, okay, earthworms and few other insects which will help for the growth of these plants. What will this pesticide do is it doesn't see whether it's a good pest or a bad pest. It just kills those pesticide, all those insects or insecticides. For example, if not take pesticides, we'll take insecticides. So what happens is these insecticides kill all those insects, either whether it is good or whether it is bad. Okay, so that means it will affect the growth of the plant. Yes or no? If it kills also those non-target organisms, then it also what it does it affects the growth of the growth of the plants or the growth of the crops, and also affects the ecosystem. Ecosystem is because if it keeps on killing that particular insect, that at one point of time we will find it in the extinct mode only. Okay, because if these insecticides are being killed in such a rapid rate, what will happen is either it will get endangered or either it will be extincted at one point of time. So it has to be seen that these pesticides or these insecticides do not kill these organisms as well. Okay, the non-target organism. Increasing amount of artificial fertilizers causes eutrophication. You people are very aware about it. We have seen the video as well. What happens is the artificial fertilizers goes onto the water bodies due to the rainwater, whereas because of these fertilizers, the nutrition content increases, because of which algal growth takes place. No sunlight. No sunlight is allowed to get into it, because of which the other organisms which are present are being killed. Okay, are being killed, and due to which the total eutrophication of that river or that particular water body takes place. Okay, so use of inorganic fertilizers and pesticides has increased manifold, enhancing the crop production just because so that they can increase the growth of the crops. This increase the growth of the crops or to flourish them, these pesticides have been used unknowingly. But if in case they are used in in a proper quantity, in a, it can be made use out of it, but still it is however it is a chemical, so it is not at all acceptable to use it to enhance the crop production. Next is pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, which have been increasingly. What is herbicides? Herbicides are nothing. Okay, what happens is these unwanted plants which are grown along with the crops. Okay, unwanted plants which are grown along with the crops. You must have seen people removing the weeds or the herbs near the crop area. What happens is when you allow this fertilizers, manures, and these pesticides to to the agriculture field, what happens, this gives growth to these herbs as well, which are unnecessary, or it's of no use. Okay, which are unnecessary growing there. They take up the water and nutrition from the land. Okay, affecting the growth of the crops, affecting the growth of the crops. So what it is very difficult to manually remove the herbs and from the very large crop agricultural land. So what it is done is these herbicides are used. Okay, these herbicides are used. Once they allow these herbicides to go into the agriculture field, what happens is they kill all the herbicides. Okay, they kill all the herbicides, whereas the crop remains unaffected. Okay, the crop remains unaffected, but these weeds or these herbicides have been killed by this. These weeds or herbs have been killed by these herbicides. Okay, herbicides are nothing but it's a kind of a chemical only which is allowed to go, which is been sprayed onto the agricultural land, so that the herbs or the unwanted plants which are grown along with the crops in the agricultural land are being, because it is very difficult to manually remove them, manually remove each and every herb, so that they can be killed by these herbicides they are being used. Okay. Herbicides are nothing but the they are the chemicals as well. Whereas pesticides or insecticides are also the chemicals and fungicides as well. Okay. Is it clear, Kirti?